Srimati Supriya Sule.
Thank you, sir. On behalf of my party, I stand here to support this bill, sir. Obviously, I don't think anybody in this August House would oppose this bill because it's in the interest of the nation, of our children and the women. Sir, I was going through some very alarming data from the Home Ministry in a reply given on the 20th of March. It said that the number of persons arrested for trafficking was 10,000, person charge sheeted was 7,292, and the persons convicted was only 159, sir. Sir, as we are all aware that this is not a political issue, this is a social issue. And I appreciate the ministry's intervention of bringing this very important bill. But I only have a few concerns about this bill because it's about human trafficking. When anybody is trafficked, it's merely a compulsion on that person. It's not out of somebody's will. And the intent of the government is very noble of giving so much authority to the police, which is much appreciated. But sir, I would like to know that how will this entire administration of a district, in the bill there is talk about anti-trafficking unit. What will they use for emotion questions, or will these be normal police who will be a part of the anti-trafficking units, and will they be aware of the sensitivity of the issue? Women who have been through trafficking have a lot of mental trauma that they go through. So will there be an NGO which is mentioned already on it, but what kind of NGOs? Because in the other issues, like say in adoption, sir, what has happened is a lot of wrong being, and the intent is very good. Nobody wants any child to be adopted wrongly. But in adoption, what has happened in every district committee, there are 2 NGOs who are put on the committee. In that committee, there are some NGOs who are involved in adoption. So it becomes like a big racket. So the person who gives children for adoption is on the committee. So the collector is on his side and he's the final authority. So total wrongdoing happens in adoption. So I hope the same thing doesn't happen here, because I'm sure the kind of power when you stay here, in Delhi, the legislation is made for India, but the implementing bodies are going to be states. So the noble intention of the minister and the ministry may be very good, but on the field, is there going to be some police sensitization being done about this? Because the entire country, the police may not be aware of what really the intent of this bill is. And just last month, sir, I actually hanged my head in shame while giving this example, but in Maharashtra, one of the police officers, when a woman went to the police station, she was exploited. So in such a ghastly situation, if they are only going to be the authority to do this, this is an isolated example. It doesn't mean that all the police are bad. But I think these are little loopholes that we must cover and see how more we can strengthen the trafficking law, sir. She has extensively talked about rehabilitation, which is a very welcome move. But in the rehabilitation, just yesterday, Ranjita Ranjan talked about what happened in a home in Bihar. What happened in Jharkhand about conversion. Now these are very complex social issues. These are not political issues, what happened in Jharkhand, what happened in Patna last week. So how do we integrate these? Because every place a legislator cannot be there. So how do we make everybody accountable? So there has to be a message on top, says we are going to have zero tolerance with trafficking, and it has to be done in a very fair and a transparent manner. In rehabilitation, the fund that she's talked about, it's a very small fund for a size of this nation. So are the states going to contribute, or will there be enough fund to get counsellors? Okay, she's confirming that she is. So I welcome that step if everywhere we're going to get good qualified counsellors. But is India ready for such good counselling? So who are going to be the counsellors? Who is going to choose? So if you could throw a little light so we feel more comfortable and rest assured that the intent is very good. So then the big issue of transgender, it's not an issue is so easily discussed in this house. So transgenders, I work very closely with them for several years, especially in Mumbai. We have very large issues of transgenders. Now there's nothing really openly said about them. So would the Honorable Minister kindly address the issues of transgenders, of how will they be protected, because they are completely left out. So, and please don't call them others is my humble request to you. So it has to be male, female and TG. It would be a little kind if you don't call them others, because they are not others. So I'd appreciate that, and I'm sure she'll look into it. And sir, the other issue of social integration. If somebody is trafficked and brought back, you will give her a fair hearing. How will you socially integrate her or him back? It's easy for him to integrate in society, but it's very hard for a woman to get socially integrated back into this society. So what extra mile, and why does this all happen? This only happens because of economic situations. So there are even sex workers. Especially, there's a very good example in Goa, sir. There's a very good NGO who has got all the sex workers in Goa together, and they run a very fine laundry, and they're making so much money that no woman really wants to become a sex worker anymore. And no woman wants to be a sex worker. This is not something she does out of choice. She does that to either feed her children or to protect her family. Why else would she do that? So if the Honorable Minister could do something even for sex workers, I think it will be much appreciated. Just talk about jurisdiction of the magistrate interstate. If you could kindly clarify, how would it interstate work? Because if somebody is caught in one state, sent back, how will the jurisdiction work? So there should be nothing grey left, sir, about it. Many people have talked about how would we cover issues which are abroad. I won't repeat them, sir. But there's one question I would like to ask the Honorable Minister to kindly clarify. She's talked about surrogacy, she's talked about child marriage. One question was human body exploitation. So we see kidneys being robbed, so many things. So if she could kindly clarify for our satisfaction that what would be the issue on this, and second is about adoption. Many homes and surrogacy, these are the new trends in society today. So when a child is adopted, will we be 100% sure that that child is not trafficked from any home, any place, or even abroad for that matter? So I think adoption is to be, and the district administrator and the magistrate has been given a lot of importance. Adoption is mainly done through court so far. She has given a lot of authority so that the paperwork becomes much lesser. So I appreciate and respect her intern. But sir, I'd like to know that it's such a big administrative setup that already a district administrator does. Will he or she have enough time to give these? Because these are very sensitive issues. So how could we if you could give us a broad view on what you think about this. Just lastly, sir, I would like to make a point where in Maharashtra we have a very good success story about this. Pratham is one of the largest organization in Maharashtra, which is an NGO which the whole country refers to in the Asar report for education. But they did a very fine program with the Home Ministry. Mr. R.R. Patil, who unfortunately is no more, was the Home Minister. And we made several shelters for children, and we brought down the child labor and trafficking substantially in Maharashtra. So it's been one of our success stories, and all governments after that have followed that. So could we do a program like this where we could go a very refined NGO to work with the Home Ministry and Women and Child to really make a difference and make sure every child is protected and every woman, and we be a proud nation where we say yes, trafficking was a history and it doesn't exist in our country anymore. Thank you very much.
Srimati K. Gita.